Did you know that the FDA receives almost half of its funding from Big Pharma? You know, the Food and Drug Administration that's supposed to regulate and make sure that the drugs Big Pharma is producing are safe? But back in 1992, the Prescription Drug User Fee Act was passed. And they very cleverly worded it as if it was the Food and Drug Administration collecting fees from drug manufacturers to fund the approval process. But notice how if you flip that around, that is the drug manufacturers paying the FDA to expedite the approval process. And every 5 years, the pharmaceutical lobbyists come out in support of renewing the act and increasing the fee. This is the organization lobbying on behalf of this law. They're one of the biggest pharmaceutical industry lobbying organizations. They've lobbied fiercely against allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices for Medicare recipients. They've also lobbied to prevent price limits and greater price transparency for drugs. Go figure. And when the PDUFA law was passed in 1992, it wasn't funding a lot of the FDA, but by now it's providing almost half of their budget. Notice the scale is in millions of dollars, so that is almost $3 billion out of an almost $6 billion budget. In the year 2002, when the fees really started to kick off, fees are the blue line, money getting paid from pharma to the FDA. Right as fees were taken off, the number of warning letters being submitted about drugs just dropped off a cliff. Suddenly, I suppose all the drugs were super safe. Notice this data only goes through 2013, and even this data only goes through 2019. But it turns out this time frame here is not random. That was when Vioxx was happening. And if you don't know about Vioxx was a painkiller that was developed by Merck Pharmaceuticals, where they actively covered up findings that it was causing heart problems in their test subject, got it approved to market, sold it to millions of Americans, and in the time it was on the market, it caused 88,000 heart attacks, killing 38,000 people. In the end, Merck paid what is believed to be the biggest drug settlement ever of $4.85 billion. Although, I think Purdue Pharma and the opioid crisis topped that. And if you want just one more nugget, Daniel Troy, the FDA chief counsel that was appointed in 2001 through the Vioxx situation, this guy, so he was the chief lawyer for the Food and Drug Administration that's regulating the pharmaceutical companies and making sure they're safe. What does he do immediately after leaving the FDA? He goes to become a partner at the Washington law firm Sidney Austin LLP, where he principally represented the pharmaceutical companies and trade associations on matters related to the FDA and government regulations. He later joined GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, a pharmaceutical company, and was responsible for leading the company's legal department in protecting GSK's intellectual property, managing litigation, supporting their business development transactions, etc. The FDA is funded by Big Pharma. Big Pharma is staffed by ex-FDA regulators protecting them against regulation. And when they put out deadly drugs with fraudulent studies to back them up, they walk away with a fine and a slap on the wrist, and they get to keep all the rest of the profit. But of course, that's all ancient history. These days, Big Pharma is a bastion of integrity and moral values. They only produce high quality products that are heavily regulated, that are tested in, out, all around. You should trust Big Pharma. You should trust the regulators. They have your best interest in mind. And they do such a good job at having your best interest in mind that's why they make millions of dollars every year. The CEOs, the companies make billions of dollars every year. Trust the science. Don't ask questions.